Thank you for an inspiring address, Mr. Chairman. And I assume you can take a few questions from the audience, 5-7 questions in the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Sir, you mentioned about the leading organizations changing their position. Somebody else is there after a few years. I would like to really congratulate you and the State Bank of India that it has always been on the top throughout the last 200 years. Congratulations. From what Mr. Singhal has talked and from what you have talked, I would like to put up another perspective to it. We are talking of reducing the rate of interest for the borrowers, that is the industry. I have a question to Mr. Singhal first. Given the option that your sales are increased by 10% or your rate of interest is increased by 10%, you take both?
I will resort to foreign currency borrowing.
Sales increase you would opt for?
I will resort to foreign currency borrowing from the bank.
Sales increase you would opt for? Both same time. Now our sales depend on our customers. And having been in automobile, white goods, housing, so many things sell when the rate of interest for a retail borrower is lower. The sales increase when that happens, and ultimately the sales of the final product, the vendor, the SMEs, they all increase. So I feel if the focus of the banks from large borrowers like industry regarding rate of interest shifted to the retail borrowers, if our sales increase, we can go ahead with, and I'm sure the State Bank, being a lead bank, can look at that. If the sales increase, I mean, inflation is a part, but how to do that? I mean, it's a juggernaut. Thank you, sir.
No, that's a very useful suggestion, and the banks also have discovered that retail lending is very important. 20 years back, only source of home loan was LIC or your employer. But today, I think there is a big debate in our credit committee that our home loan is priced at 9.95, and a loan we are giving to one of the topmost companies of India, National Thermal Power Corporation, NTPC, is also at 9.95. So the debate was, are the two loans equal in terms of cost of supervision, in terms of possibility of default? So, these are some of the issues, but the banks in India, out of their own volition, is possibly trying to make it easier for the retail customers. But in this, I just told one anecdote by a successful industrialist. He said that this person said, I am very happy, my two sons and my two daughters have been married and they are very doing well, but my first son-in-law is a great engineer and he has a steady job and all that. But the second fellow, so is a business person, his income is slightly unsteady. Sometimes he makes a lot of money and sometimes he is struggling to pay his bills. So he asked, somebody asked, then where is your son-in-law working, first son-in-law, that he has a steady job and steady income? So he said he is working for my second son. So, if businesses are not doing so well, and if they are having difficulty, surely their employees, it's just a question of time when the employees also feel the stress. In US, it is as the economy shrank, as the incomes, did not grow, the households feel the pain and interest. So we have to work for a robust condition in both the household finance as also the finance of the industry.
High CRR, in fact, very well known to the country, and industry is in fact grateful to you for that. So do you think industry needs to play its role to get the CRR down by putting pressure on the government? If yes, how?
Thank you very much. This comes from the fact that, out of 100 rupees that we mobilize, 23 goes for SLR, liquidity reserves, which is basically central government and state government bonds. We don't mind that. Because the central government and state government support so many activities, support so many jobs, they build roads, they build schools, they build hospitals, support so many services. But the CRR, which used to be 6%, and even currently at 4%, the total banking system deposits are close to 70 lakh crores. 4% on that is 2,80,000 crores. And it is more than 4% because part of the interest accrued on fixed it. So let us say it is 3 lakh crores. Now my point is that supposing 4% of your income, if you don't save, if you don't consume, you don't invest, you just put it locked in a cupboard, how does it help? Similarly, 4% you bring it for use by anybody, by government, by private, by banks, anybody. And no other country has this kind of CRR. You look at jurisdictions like US, UK, all the successful countries, even Korea or Singapore, near home. And more importantly, it creates a non-level playing field between the different financial sector participants. Now the ROE in our insurance business, SBI Life, is higher than the ROE in our banking business. Why? Because the insurance does not have impounding by way of CRR. So my point was, if you want CRR as a monetary instrument to contain demand, spread it right across all players in the financial sector, or else pay interest. But I am very grateful that Reserve Bank has accepted the logic of this argument, and over the last 2 years I think CRR has been reduced from 6% to 4%. I would not say it is due to me, but at least I have been happy to start independent the country. And India is a great country, it's a democratic country, and one of the biggest virtues of democracy is you may not get your viewpoint accepted, but at least you have the right and opportunity to articulate it. So thank you very much, and I still feel that CRR lacks an economic justification, and every time in the economic policy, the governor reduces the CRR, he looks towards me. Mr. Chaudhary would be pleased. But I assure him every time, if you reduce CRR, the monetary transmission of that is bound to happen and would start with State Bank of India. So last time also when this happened, State Bank of India was the first to reduce its base rate and distribute the reduction in the interest rates right across all segments in an equitable way. Thank you.
Any government on
True, the thing is that we gave them a choice. Supposing there are monetarists, I get a lot of flack from otherwise, I have a lot of supporters, but I get a flack and one person wrote, very eminent person, that SBI chief is looking for a black cat in a dark room, which is not there. So I said, if they say that CRR has to be there, it is sacrosanct, then I said, at least compensate me for the rate of interest. Then that would again help us to pass on the benefit to the consumer. So let's wait. It is RBI's prerogative. Let us see the way they react. But so far, I think more than paying interest, they have decided to cut the CRR. Because on the basic logic, in a capital-starved country, like a capital-deficient country, I would not say starved, it defies any economic logic to keep 3 lakh crores locked up and doing nothing. And 3 lakh crores is not a small amount. I have said it costs 300 crores per kilometer to build an underground metro. Now with 3 lakh crores you can build 1,000 kilometers of metro. And in 50 cities of India you can build 20 kilometers of metro. Assume Ludhiana has 20 kilometers of underground. Will it not change the entire dynamics of Ludhiana? So it's a game changer.
Thank you, Mr. You are the largest and you are the oldest. But why you are so strict with the old people? You are going to join senior citizens club 6 months from now, less than that. Your interest rates are for depositors almost half to 1% lower than that. And more surprisingly, you have made senior citizens half senior citizens. The others are giving 0.5% more You have reduced it to 0.25. I think you should have large heart.
For that question, but I can't pay interest out of my heart. If I would, so interest has to be paid out of the kitty. Now in this, the thing was for a large amount of time, we had extra deposits and not enough demand. Now any business person knows Ludhiana is a big center for textile. If you have a large stock of cotton and not enough demand, Mr. Munjal alluded, you can't build doing this. And from the central government also, there was an advisory to reduce the premium for senior citizens. Because senior citizens margin came in when 2004-05, the interest rates had dropped very low, and senior citizens who have no other means of, we had relatively few other means of income had to be compensated. So that time the interest rates were 5 or 6%. Today they are very different. So even though you may call me stingy in paying to we pay 8.75% for this, for deposits. So that is where it is, because if we raise our deposit rate, our lending rates will go up and we will not find good customers, we will have higher NPAs, and which will put a question mark on paying interest and principal to this. But please rest assured that depositors is also our mainstay, but we have to strike a balance between the two. And like any, all of us would have children and grandchildren. Like we want to pay them more, we want to give them the biggest pocket money, but it has to be done according to our abilities. इंसान वही दे सकता है जो उसके पास है. He cannot give more than. Thank you.
Sir.